It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels.
Oh, friends! What on earth happened today? Welcome. I don't know if there's all that much to talk about tonight. It's an interesting day. hello stream. I'll give you 2 minutes for everybody to get in here. Please take a seat, leave a like. I felt like I was going to do some sort of like Jedi quote around, "Well, you are lost, Anakin," because I guess Games Workshop have doubled down on Death Company Marines and Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. But yes, I'll give a couple of minutes for everybody to get in. And then we'll talk about the balanced data slate. I must admit, I've had a very busy day to work. I haven't seen everything, so you guys can keep me up to date on the chat. I mean, I've seen the points. I've seen the fact that our 2 Codex detachments have been completely ignored again. I kind of thought that was going to happen. Hello, Eternal Crusader, El Marto, Alex. Linus is correct. You cannot use Armor of Contempt. I assume your opponent's overwatching you. Yes, you can't use Armor of Contempt when you get overwatched. It sucks, but that is the rule. That is what it is. Hello, Dracula. Hello, Iscarot. Hello, Jim. I actually need to refilm my video for Friday as well, because everything in my list apparently went up in points. Maybe we can get Balcador's detachment on the stream in the near future. But for the moment, right, people are filtering in. Let's move. Come on, camera. There we go. Hello. Hello, Marius. Good evening. Yeah, my daughter is recovering really well. Thank you for asking. It was emergency surgery on Sunday morning, 8 a.m. in Aberdeen. So that was fun to get up at like 5 a.m. to go for emergency surgery. Blade Guard did go down in points. Yeah. Do you want to start with points? Is that where we'll start? I mean, that's an easy thing to talk about. Codex Supplement Blood Angels points. I did consider... I did consider, like, throwing some of these things into a tier list. Like, the things that have changed. But the problem is, everything that has changed was garbage, and I don't think you fix any of these issues with points. And I think I said this in the last balanced data slate as well, right? Like, let's start with a Death Company captain with jump pack. He went down an amazing 10 points. No one was running him before. Like, literally no one was running him. His special rule, because we've all forgotten it, is if he dies, he can do up to 6 mortal wounds against the unit he's attacking. He gives sustained hits to Death Company models. But his entire squad is going to be OC 0, so you're paying at least 205 points for an OC 0 squad. And then you still need to include a chaplain as well to get any OC nearby. I feel like my opinion of this is, I would, if I was going to do this, if I was going to add a character to a 5-man unit of Jump Marines, I would just run Assault Intercessors and a captain with a jump pack. That would save me 40 odd points, and honestly I doubt there's very little damage between those 2 units. Sure, your captain has probably 1 extra attack. I actually don't think he has 1 extra attack. I think he's got the same 5 attacks as Death Company captain, and you give up the mortal wounds on the jump intercessors. Get better bait. I tried. Like, we'll go through the changes. You tell me where the good changes are. I'm ready. I'm ready to see some positive good changes. Here's the thing. No one was running Death Company with jump pack before. Like, very little few people were running this. We all felt it was too expensive. Jump intercessors are 40 points less. They have OC. They have mortal wound output. I don't think a 6-up Feel No Pain, which is like a 16% increase on 10 wounds. So it's basically 1.5 extra wounds. I don't think that's meaningful. I wouldn't give up the OC. So I think the Death Company captain with jump pack, if he'd stayed at 85 points, but he gave the squad some OC, maybe I think there's a play there. But because he doesn't, I don't think there's any play on this Death Company with jump pack. I don't take him at 75 points. It's 65, maybe, but they're not going to give us a jump character for 65 points, I don't think. Like, I don't see... He can only attach to Death Company Marines with jump packs. And I think there's just better options. So, this Death Company captain with jump pack for 75 points, in my opinion, is still not worth it. Still not taking him. If I had to put him in a tier list, I'd probably put him in like a C. Like the only way I think I could ever have this unit would be if he's on his own, filling out the last 75 points of a list, but I just think there's always going to be better options to do that with. So yeah, let's talk about Death Company Marines, because Death Company Marines are battle line in the Lost Brethren detachment. Bear in mind, like, no one's playing this detachment. Because the detachment kind of needs a buff. Liberator Assault Group and Angelic Inheritors are both just drastically better than this. And this detachment also has a tax on it where, like, you need a boatload of chaplains. So, like, you can't really build the list the way you want to build it, because you need to take about 5 chaplains. So, and then the chaplains can take none of the enhancements. I mean, I guess that is a problem with this detachment. But for 85 points, Death Company Marines on foot, so 10 points more expensive than the Salt Intercessors. What you're going to get there is, you're going to likely have to give up OC. You're likely not going to be able to fall back. You're going to, for the pleasure, get an Eviscerator extra. Like, that's the one extra thing you will get. An Eviscerator and a 6-up Feel No Pain. But I think you should still just take the Assault Intercessors for 75 points. Like, they are just better. You know, this unit gets stronger if it is almost wiped. But it's only 5 Marines with a 3-up save. They do just get wiped, right? It's, you know, quite often if your opponent engages on 5 Marines, how many times do you meaningfully in a game of 40k these days, like, lose 2 Marines and have like 3 Marines running around in a squad kicking ass for the rest of the game? Like, I feel like that never happens. So because of that, their sustained hits are very unlikely in the 5-man squad. Maybe they're likely in the 10-man squad, but I'm not taking 10 Death Company Marines on foot for 160 points. I don't know. Do you know what we'll do? We'll do polls. We'll do a poll on every unit. How about that? Have we got enough people in the chat to do a poll? We're at like 100. Cool. So, okay. First up, engage with your audience. Start a poll. Death Company captain with a jump pack. The question is basically, are you using him with the points changes? Yes or no? It's simple. Are we using? It's going to be pretty simple. I'll give you guys, like, we'll get the countdown clock, you know, where you've got like 1 minute to make your vote. Death Company captain with the jump pack, 75 points now. Does some mortal wounds potentially when he dies? It's not guaranteed. I think you still have to roll a 2-up, right? It doesn't always do them. Yeah, you still have to roll a 2-up, so it doesn't always happen. While he's leading Death Company, they have sustained 1. But go for it. Let's get some votes going. Hello, John. Hello, Jack. Hello, Quay. Hello, Aradine. Centurions got kicked right in their heavy armor nuts, says Alex. All right, we'll get to Centurions once we've done the Blood Angels. The Death Company detachment is so astonishingly bad. Do you know what? That was the one reason that I was worried about Bloodless Angels, because Bloodless Angels will have made Games Workshop think that Blood Angels are totally fine and balanced, because a lot of people with Bloodless Angels will have been dragging up the win rate for people that are playing the Death Company detachment or the Angelic Host detachment. I actually don't think anyone plays those detachments. I literally never see lists submitted. It's Liberator Assault Group or Angelic Inheritors, and the other two detachments are just dead in the water. Alright, when we get to 50 votes, we'll move on. So from 51 votes, about 3 people out of 51. Is that right? Can I do maths? No. 13%, 6 or 7 people. Okay, so some people are going to use the Death Company jump pack character. More than I thought. Good. Interest. Maybe some people really want to play the Death Company detachment, or really want theme Death Company stuff. Alright, let's do another one. Death Company Marines on foot. Are we using Death Company Marines on foot with 85 points? Yes or no? It's simple. Like, I don't see why you would ever pick these guys over Assault Intercessors. I really don't. And I think if you have Assault Intercessors, then you can attach a captain, and you can do Finest Hour, and you can reroll wounds. And I just think everything about that is essentially better. Right? Like, Death Company Marines on foot. They can be led by a chaplain. So I guess that's the one thing that's different from the last character. These guys could be led by a chaplain, so they could have +1 to wound, and they could have some OC. So maybe these guys are a tiny bit better. Are you using them at 85 points? Are you actually going to include them? Because I don't see why I would ever. Nico's going to try 30 of them on foot. It is mainly just chainswords though, right? Like, you do not have a lot of killing power. Like, 1 Eviscerator per 5, 1 Power Fist per 10? Yeah, 1 Power Fist per 10, or 5, I guess. But if you do 5, you can have 1 Power Fist. If you do 10, you can still only have 1 Power Fist. So 1 Power Fist per 10, 1 Eviscerator per 5. Do we have 50 votes? We do indeed. 75% of people say no. Death Company Marines are not good. Let's talk about Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. I'm glad that you guys are backing me up here, because I don't want to be... I don't want to be wrong, I suppose. Let's see. Next change is Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. Are we using them? Yes or no? I predict this will be 95% no. Are we using Death Company Marines with bolt rifles? Before I predict that, let me just check the rules. Once per turn, they can fire Overwatch or Heroic Intervention for free. Once per turn, they can fire Overwatch or Heroic Intervention for free. The Heroic Intervention is going to be massively unmeaningful, because most of them are going to have close combat weapons. You're going to have 1 Chainsword, 1 Eviscerator, and 1 Power Fist. So Heroic Intervention is massively underwhelming. They don't get to reroll hits anymore in the shooting phase, so their Overwatch is probably pretty underwhelming as well. I mean, you're talking like 10 bolt rifle shots, no rerolls. So reroll statistically like 1.66s. These guys' special rule is the worst. Like, if you just compare these guys side by side against the previous Death Company unit we looked at, these guys are like objectively way worse. I mean, apart from the fact, I guess, they've got bolt rifles, but they have the old bolt rifles, not like the new intercessors that actually get like 4 shots with the bolt rifles. So these guys just have like old bolt rifles They have Heroic that does very little. They have Overwatch that does very little. And again, they're 0 OC, 85 points. I think these guys are absolute garbage. Never taking them. No way, not 85. They're not worth 85 points. Big Fatson, thank you much for the $5. Got 4 boxes worth of used Slanesh chariots last weekend, and now they're legends. Ha! Oh, God. All right, well, I mean, thanks for sharing that, McFatson. I feel sorry for you. Isn't it the worst when they sell things that go legends so closely? Man, I've been hit by that. Can someone explode twice? I don't think anyone can explode twice. Oh my God, look at this. We have 51 votes. 100% of people voted Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. There's not a single person. Thank you for that. I love that. I will post that on the community later. That is brilliant. I've never had such a... I don't know what you call that. I've never had such an overwhelming negative on a... I should just leave that poll running the whole stream and see if somebody at some point likes them. Death Company Bolters, in my opinion, does defeat the purpose of playing Blood Angels. Somebody likes them. Oh my goodness. One person. Alright, Death Company Marines with Bolters. We have one person out of 70 will actually use them at 85 points. Who was it? Who was it? Come on, who was it? Own up. Own up. Like, I want the truth. Who likes Death Company Marines with bolt rifles? Like, who are you? Do you know what? It's going to be Marius. It's going to be the Ultramarines player that's secretly being super quiet in the chat because he's like, yeah, I like bolt rifles. Damn you Ultramarines, you're always the problem, aren't you? I'm joking. I know you Ultramarines players get very angry when I talk about bolt rifles and stuff like that. Okay. So the 3 Death Company changes, for me personally, changes nothing. I wasn't running any of these units before. I will not run any of these units now. Death Company Marines with jump packs. I had really hoped to see these drop because I think they are objectively worse than Sangre Guard and they are the same points. And this is why most of the lists that we are seeing at the moment are lots of units of Sangre Guard and no units of Death Company, right? Like the Sangre Guard are just better and they are the same points. I'm worried to say that in case they put the points of the Sangre Guard up, but the Sangre Guard are so expensive for 3 models. I don't think they can go up. I just think the Death Company with jump packs are too expensive for 5. When they used to have 5 Power Fists, they were very good for 5. They used to have 5 Power Fists and 5 Infernal Pistols and reroll all their shooting hits. With all that taken away, I honestly think, I don't know if I'm including these guys at 120. I don't know if I'm including them at 115. Maybe 115. I would have to try them at 115. But when I have played these guys in 5s, because I have played them multiple times since the last Balance Status Slate, I just always found them super underwhelming. So, Ridgefield Warrior has gone up another 10. It's a spiky. It's very spiky Ragefield Warrior, right? Like I used it one time where I rolled all 6s, and then it's absolutely crazy. I have also used it when I rolled 1 6, and it feels totally rubbish. So it's a bit like the casino cannon of the Vindicator tank. Are we still using Rage Fuel at 35 points? Yes or no? Another simple poll. Let's keep the polls going tonight. I want to see what the community feels like. Yeah, and for me anyway, the missed things in this detachment once again are like, and we probably said the same thing 3 months ago. The Death Company Dreadnought, in my opinion, is not as good as the Brutalis Dreadnought, and he costs 20 points more. So I don't know why I ever take the Death Company Dreadnought over the Brutalis Dreadnought. my point stands on that. Like, even if they're the same points, I think I'm always taking the Brutalis, because the Brutalis doesn't need me to have a chaplain within 12 inches, and I probably want to be deep striking that Dreadnought, because Dreadnoughts running across the board are not very survivable, so I don't need an added, like, cognitive load of trying to find a place on the battlefield that this guy can deep strike, and he's also within 12 inches of a chaplain, and he is also within 12 inches of a chaplain when he finishes charging. There's, like, a lot of problems with this guy, right? So, like, I just, even at 160, even if the same points as the Brutalis Dreadnought, I think I'm always taking the Brutalis Dreadnought, right? So Death Company Marines with jump packs, Death Company Dreadnought have been ignored again. That's fine. I can't say too much on the Angelic Host stuff and the Lost Brethren stuff, because those detachments are not fine and they have been ignored again. Like the balance, this is what we got last edition. This is what we got 3 months ago. Blood Angels, none. And this is what we got again today. Blood Angels, none. That was the one with my thumbnail.
Last Draken donated $10 via Super Chat. Used DCJP with Martez once. Outnumbered 1v2 at event. Friend bailed R1. I got tabled R5. They had to commit to take him out as they kept taking things out. Was rolling hot on saves.
I am glad that you had some success with the Jump Pack Death Company Last Dragon. Thank you so much for the $10. But my personal opinion of them right now is, yeah, I mean, sure, if you roll hot with saves, a unit can do well, but if you roll average with the Death Company, they'll just get squatted. I've tried them multiple times, in 10s and in 5s. I am very much on the opinion that, like, Sangre Guard are just better at the moment. I have been using Sangre Guard exclusively probably since not long after this last balanced data slate, or not long after the Codex came out, right? And, like, not long after the Codex came in, and Death Company lost all their options, right? Would the detachment be fixed if they gave the Death Company captain a banner? I think one of the things that might actually just fix that detachment would be Death Company Marines don't lose objective control, right? Like, I don't think that would be overly powerful. Like, your Death Company unit, the Death Company units aren't cheap, man, right? Like, you know, if you have a Death Company captain with a jump pack for 75 and 5 Death Company with jump packs, that's 205 points. Like I said, they're not really any better than 5 Assault Intercessors and a regular captain. They're pretty much the same cost, but they have no OC, and the other squad has 6 OC, and the other squad does just... The other squad has the tiniest little bit less killing, the tiniest little bit less survivability, but that's made up for the fact that the other squad's about 50 points less. So, the Death Company captains need to count as chaplains. That would go a long way to potentially fixing it as well. I think the problem is no one's playing the detachment, right? It probably because no one's playing it, it's hard to know exactly what would fix it. But I tried to make a list for this a couple of times, and I've seen some people, like, there has been few and far between people make lists for this detachment. But, like, you kind of, as a rule of thumb, right? Like, if you are playing Blood Angels and you are running multiple units of Death Company, a good rule of thumb is, like, for every 2 units of Death Company on the table, you need a chaplain. You can do other combinations where, like, you know, you've got 3 units of Death Company, so you take 2 chaplains, or you've got 4 units of Death Company. You might be able to get away with 2, but probably you want 3. But when you have a detachment that's going to be, like, everything that you want to have in your detachment is Death Company, then you have, like, this crazy where you've got to spend 500 points on chaplains. And then at that point, the chaplains can't take any of the enhancements, because all the enhancements belong to Death Company models only. Like, it's fine. Let's move on. Death Company mathematically hit harder into all targets without support. Well, sure, but I mean, there's ways you can go around, right? Like, if you do 5 jump intercessors with a chaplain for, like, 165 points, that's what that costs, like 90 for the 5 intercessors and 75 for the chaplain, then those jump intercessors have permanent +1 to wound, and they're only 165 points, and they have 6 OC. Whereas your Death Company for like 205 points have no OC. It's actually like, it's quite hard to play 0 OC units, right? Like, I don't know how often, everybody's played 0 OC units, but I've played them a bunch, and I think when a unit has 0 OC, it's quite hard to play because, yes, you can kill something on an objective, but it never scores you any points. You have to have a whole other unit that can come onto the objective with OC. So yeah, so let's. I mean, we're not even talking about Angelic Host. I think Angelic Host has probably been eclipsed by Angelic Inheritors in almost every way. I think Angelic Host. I think Angelic Host needs something as well, honestly. So that's fine. Sorry, I missed the last vote. People, so 35% of people will now use Rage Fueled character at 35 points. 35 points is actually bonkers, right? Like 35 points is like half a captain. Again, like at that point, I would just like have another I would use those 35 points to put a second captain or half of a captain on the table. 35 points for a once per game, sustained 3. I suppose if you like luck, go for Rage Fueled Warrior. I've played Rage Fueled Warrior twice. I can take it or leave it because it's so swingy. If I go to another tournament running Liberator Assault Group at 35 points, I wouldn't be taking Rage Fueled Warrior. I don't even know if I'm taking it 25 points. For me, like 25 points for Speed of the Primarch, where it's like something that will actually change how my opponent has to play and gives me a really powerful ability I can guarantee use. I'm alright with that. But Rage Fueled Warrior for me, 35 points is getting... I think I'm in the camp of, no, I wouldn't use it at 35 points. Death Company would need to be cheaper. Like, I don't think... I think, honestly, you can't fix the Death Company with points at the moment, right? Because the only way you would take them is, like, you would have to keep making them cheaper and cheaper and cheaper until people take them, and then when they become cheap enough that people start taking them, they probably dominate the table. So I think the Death Company are maybe dead on arrival this edition. Like... maybe the Death Company with jump packs can come down in points and we can see them. But I think all the other data sheets, right? Like Death Company Captain on foot, Death Company Captain with a jump pack, Death Company Dreadnought, Death Company Marines, Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. Like, I don't think you fix those with points. Maybe you can. Maybe you can, but here's the other thing. Blood Angels aren't running a lot of chaplains at the moment either, right? Like, I'm trying to think of, like, lists that we've seen recently, like, that have lots of chaplains in them. It doesn't really exist. Some people take a Terminator chaplain to give the Terminators +1 to wound. Some people take a chaplain to give Blade Guard +1 to wound, maybe. Some people might take a chaplain to give Death Company the jump packs +1 to wound, but we're not seeing tons of chaplains. Yeah, so I think what we will jump onto is Space Marine Point updates next. Let's type Space Mine. I don't know where that came from. Codex Chaos Space Marines. We don't care about Chaos. We really don't care about Chaos. Alright, cool. We've got some changes. Ballistus Dreadnought. I'm sure it was 140 points, and they put it down to 130. Am I losing my mind? I think it's back to 140 points, right? It was cheaper. It's back to 140. Are we using it at 140? Let's see. Next poll is up. Let's see what people are saying. Ballistus Dreadnought back up to 140 points. I'm sure that's where it was before. Ballistus Dreadnoughts are quite common at the moment, I would say, with Blood Angels lists, because they were cheap. And even at 140, they are relatively cheap because they have baked in rerolls, they have long range. They have decent OC. They have 2-up save. They have 10 wounds. Like, there's a lot to like about Ballista. And then I guess they were cheap because they were in the Indomitus box. Hello, Stu. Have you missed much? Not too much. Thanks for asking about my daughter. She is feeling much better. Jeff, thank you for subscribing. If you guys get 2 seconds, please leave a like on the stream. It does help me ever so much. I appreciate it. I was playing Ballistus Dreadnought before at 140. I'm sure of it. I think I will continue to play it at 140. Whether or not it stays in my current list, I have been running 1 at the moment in my list. It does occasionally kill things from full health in 1 turn, which is nice when it pops off. It doesn't happen very often, but I mean, I think just this last week I killed 2 Beasts of Nurgle in turn 1 with my Ballistus Dreadnought. I think Las Cannons evaporated 1. I think the missiles evaporated another. It does happen. It does have long range. I think it's okay at 140 points. I'll continue to use it probably. Whether or not it's in every one of my lists is questionable, but at 140 I want Sanguiner. Well, you can have the Sanguiner and the Ballistus Dreadnought. You don't need to be picky. You can have both. Okay, next up is Bladeguard Veterans. And this is actually a somewhat interesting change, I think. So, at 80 points, now for 3, Bladeguard Veteran Squad. I don't think many Blood Angels players were using... Oh, my computer has decided that it doesn't want to paste what I typed. I don't think many Blood Angels players were using Ballistus Dreadnoughts. Sorry. We're past Ballistus Dreadnoughts. I don't think anyone was using Bladeguard Veterans. I did run to a tournament in January with 6 Bladeguard inside an Impulsor. Somewhat decent because they get baked in rerolls. Pretty good at Strength 7 AP2 on the Charge and Liberator Assault group. Not too bad in Angelic Inheritors as well with the Strength 5 AP2. They were 90 points before. They're now 80. They will typically pick up like an enemy unit of MSU. Like if you run 3 Bladeguard into 5 Intercessors, I think statistically they will kill them, right? Because like 3 Bladeguard, if we do it in Liberator Assault group, right? 3 Bladeguard is 15 attacks. You use their special ability to reroll hits of 1, which means you hit 77% of the time. You're Strength 7, so you would wound on 3s. They're AP 2, so they would fail on 5s. So 66% of the damage goes through. So yeah, so 3 Bladeguard, 80 points. If they do manage to charge, let's say 5 Intercessors, they will annihilate the whole squad. And I guess this is the reason that I'm just saying, like, Death Company with a 6-up Feel No Pain are kind of meaningless. Because you could pay 130 points for a unit of Death Company, and I've just killed them in 1 turn on the charge with 3 Bladeguard, right? And the Bladeguard were basically half the cost. 3 Bladeguard cost the same as Intercessors. Yes, and like I just said, 3 Bladeguard will statistically kill an entire squad of Intercessors. They have a 4-up invuln. They actually only have 1 less wound, because it's 3 wounds per model than 5 Intercessors. So better save, better breakpoint as well. You know, because it's 3 wounds per model, so more tanky against 2 damage weaponry. So Bladeguard down to 80 is interesting to me. I think, like, I played them at the last tournament I was at. Would I play them again at 80? They're not quite as good in Angelic Inheritors, but I think they're still good. The difference is 3 Bladeguard move 6 inches and Jump Pack Death Company move 12. Sure, but Bladeguard could go in an Impulsor and then they're moving 9 inches, and then there's Advance and Charge stratagems. Bladeguard can be pretty quick if you wanted. That was my... In the tournament I went to, my turn 1 play was like, I just moved my Impulsor forward 12 plus an Advance, and then turn 2 I would just typically disembark the Bladeguard 9 inches, and then Advance and Charge if I need it. So, like, basically turn 2... the Bladeguard can be 30 odd inches forward. Like, it's pretty darn reliable, right? maybe, I mean, they can be 30 odd inches forward before you even roll a charge roll. 6 up Feel No Pain is an absolute waste of a rolling time, says Grycheck. Yeah, I agree. I'm completely off the 6 up Feel No Pain. 6 up Feel No Pain feels like it's never meaningful when you need it to be meaningful. It's just too unreliable. Nathan says a Fight First Chaplain and 6 Blade Guard with an Impulsor is a really good tech piece, an expansion, objective, or midboard. Yeah, exactly, Nathan. That's what I ran at the last tournament I was at. The Fight First Chaplain with those Blade Guard, hitting with Strength 7, hitting with +1 to wound. The weakest point of that whole thing is probably the Chaplain has only 1 AP in his Crozius, right? Alright, so 80 points. We have a lot of votes here. We have a lot of love for the new Blade Guard. Maybe this is going to be the future for Blood Angels. 90% of people like Blade Guard at 80 points. Yeah, I mean, maybe multiple small squads of Blade Guard could be interesting. I mean, they're good in Liberator Assault Group. I've yet to really try them in Angelic Inheritors. Blade Guard Vets caught a points per dollar nerf, and it sucks. McFatson, are you ever happy, man? You don't even run Blade Guard. They don't have flamers. What are you complaining about, right? Jeez, oh. Like, what about, did anyone with a flamer go up or down on points? Then we'll, you know, then we'll need the McFatson points per dollar stat, right? Centurion Devastators, minus 20 points. So, Centurion Devastators were very good in the Vanguard attachment. So good in the Vanguard attachment that they went massively up in points, right? I'm actually unsure why these guys have come back down so many points. Is it just people aren't using Vanguard anymore? Was it an Ultramarine character or something that could give... I believe the Ultramarines could do something with these guys and put them back into reserve every time. Who can clue me up on Centurion Devastators? I know that their weaponry is very good for, like, point per point. It's pretty good, right? Like, because you get 3 las cannons, you hit on 3s, you reroll 1s. If they're on an objective marker, you reroll all hits. They're twin-linked las cannons. Maybe I didn't say they're twin-linked. And then you take the missile launchers. And the missile launchers give you D3 per guy. They are blast. So that's average about 6 shots plus 3 blast. 3 extra shots from blast, potentially. They are strength 9 minus 2 D3. And again, rerolling 1s. If the enemy's within range of an objective marker, you reroll all hits. So they don't need your oath. They are super slow. They're somewhat tanky. 2 OC per guy, and they actually are okay. They're not horrific in melee. They've got 2 damage. They've got 1 AP. No more Ventress Deep Strike. Okay. As a Blood Angels player, though, the poll is up. Would you use Devastator Centurions? Oh, I've put the points cost. I'm an idiot. Let's end that poll. Sorry, I'll do the poll again. Centurion Devastator Squad, 165 points. Yes or no? I mean, if you compare them to a Ballistus Dreadnought, which is like 25 points less, what have you got? You've got an extra las cannon. You've got slightly better missiles. But you are much slower. You're not survivable. But you do have a bit more rerolls. I don't know. I feel like if I'm playing Blood Angels, I want to keep the points I spend in shooting to an absolute minimum. Like, I like having shooting units, but 165 points... No? For me, I think? Let's see what the chat says. A named Ultramarine hero could give them Deep Strike, but not anymore. Right, so you can't ping them around the board as often as you want. They might be a viable support for Ballistus Dreadnoughts and Vindicators. They were only usable in very certain builds, and they have been ruined. Yeah, I mean... They are somewhat a little bit harder to play, right? Like, their weapons don't have heavy, if I'm correct. Yeah, so, I mean, you can move them around, but, like, how much repositioning can you really do with 4 inches of movement? Not all that much, right? I guess the only advantage might be if you were playing Angelic Inheritors. You could spend a CP on them to make them character unit, and then you could spend another CP on them to give them lone operative. So you could have them as lone operative in Angelic Inheritors. It is going to cost you 2 CP to do that. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm in the camp. I think I'm in camp no for Centurion Devastators these days. I have run them. I do have Centurions. I think I stopped running them like before they got that nerf, just because I found it hard to move them around. And sometimes, like, if you have played Centurions, or if you've ever played against Death Guard, and when the Death Guard player moves his Terminators only 4 inches, and you look at him and you just laugh because he's so slow and he can't get across the battlefield. That's what it feels like to play Centurions, right? You know, like when the Death Guard player can only move 4 inches, you just have to laugh at him, right? Like that's what you want to be doing. You know, like, not only death to the heretic, laugh at the heretic as well, you know? So, yeah, I think I'm off the board with Centurion Devastators. Company Heroes, I am sad that these guys have gone up 10 points, but I probably feel like it's justified. Company Heroes at 105 points. Yes or no? The thing to remember with Company Heroes is it's 16 wounds with -1 to wound. And in some ways, that is the equivalent of toughness 7, right? For 16 wounds for 105 points. And the reason it's the equivalent of toughness 7 is because if you look at like strength 8, well, they wound you on 3s. Look at strength 9, they wound you on 3s. Look at strength 10, they wound you on 3s. Look at strength 13, they wound you on 3s. You know, like it basically just, the -1 to wound is pretty huge for them. Anytime the opponent's going to throw high AP stuff at them, it's going to be harder to wound. And anytime they attack you with low strength stuff, it's much harder to wound as well. So, Company Heroes at 105 points, yes or no? Yes or no? They were 95 before. A Grain of Truth says, maybe the Sustained Strat and Angelic Inheritors has some play. I mean, Sustained on twin-linked las cannons and all those missiles does not actually sound too bad. It doesn't sound too bad at all. I just want to look at that strat real quick. The Angelic Inheritor strat can be used on infantry, right? It's just any unit can get sustained. I mean, if you have a map or somewhere you can position those Centurion Devastators, Strike Now for Glory would probably be pretty useful. Is it enough weight of shots though, right? Like, it's only 3 las cannons. You do have full rerolls to hit, potentially. It is only 6 missiles. It's not the worst, it's not the best, right? But yeah, in a clutch, you could use it. Company Heroes at 105 points. A lot of people not liking the Company Heroes. It's pretty split. Stu says just use 6 Blade Guard, I think, now. Hello, Jeff. How you doing? Vintage Flanker. My daughter is doing much better. Thank you for asking. Yes, she's home. The surgery went well on Sunday morning. It was kind of a bit of an emergency. But I appreciate it. Thanks for asking. In my opinion, if a unit only works if spending CP every turn is a tax, not a boon, says Pedro. It's a good point, Pedro. I think because of that, I probably wouldn't run the Centurion Devastators. Sometimes I think I disagree, though, right? Like, if you are spending 1 CP every turn on your Vindicator tank to get sustained hits on that Strength 14 cannon that can potentially have, like, 9 shots with rerolls to full hit, that's actually pretty darn powerful. So I guess it depends on how relatively powerful the stratagem can be, I guess. Death Company for that points cost could be good if the chaplain is on the battlefield. Yeah, I mean, Death Company are just confused, man. Because, like, I'm trying to think of, like, maybe if chaplains could lead Sangre Guard, right? But, like, chaplains can't lead Sangre Guard. So, like, what units do we have that you want to actually lead with a chaplain? Well, Blade Guard or Terminators. But I don't really see many other units in the Blood Angels Codex where you're like, I want to run this unit with a chaplain. So really, it's hard to make those Death Company work because, like I said, it's a chaplain tax. You have to have chaplains all over the battlefield, and it's hard to predict where you're going to need them. So Company Heroes is a split. I think I'll still use them at 105, but it's very split. We're not going to jump over Marnia Skalgar. He went up 10 points for whatever it's worth. You can tell us if that Jump Pack Intercessors isn't too bad. Yeah, I actually think Jump Pack Intercessors with a chaplain is not a bad shout. We just don't see it very often. And I suppose Vanguard Veterans as well with a chaplain would possibly be not a bad shout either, but we don't see it. And if we're not seeing it very often, does that just mean that it's not strong enough, or people aren't getting enough value out of it, or it's just not high on people's priorities lists? I don't know. Lost Brethren does indeed need sorting out. I said in the last Balanced Data Slate, and this is what I was upset about, is like, I'm not looking for buffs for Liberator Assault Group. I play a lot of his Liberator Assault Group. I think I'm totally fine with Rage Fueled Warrior going up 10 points. I'm not looking buffs for Angelic Inheritors. I play a good bit of Angelic Inheritors. I feel like I'm still learning Inheritors, but I think they're totally fine. What I am looking for is buffs to the 2 detachments that are getting 0 play whatsoever. And I was worried that Bloodless Angels would paper over those cracks, because people playing Bloodless Angels is probably making Games Workshop worry about Bloodless Angels and not worry about the 2 detachments we've got that are kind of unplayable. I think that's probably exactly what happened. I could be wrong, but I just say what I see. My opinions are my own. I have no affiliation with Games Workshop. I don't know anything behind the scenes. I just give my opinions, right? The Predator Annihilator went up 5 points to 135. Interestingly, it is 5 points cheaper than the Predator Destructor. Obviously, it just does one thing, where a Predator Destructor maybe can do 2 things. Predator Annihilator, 135 points. Yes or no? I wasn't using a Predator Annihilator before. Let's see what chat thinks. Jump Pack Intercessors are too squishy. Well, I guess that's the thing, right? Jump Pack Intercessors are a unit that you just jump in, you kill something, and you die. Adding a chaplain doesn't really change that. They still do the same thing. They jump in and they die because it's just 5 Marines with 3 up save with 2 wounds each. Which I guess is my point for like why people aren't attached. Like, you don't really pay to attach characters that you're just to the unit you're just expecting to die straight away, right? Like, you can attach like, I would attach a character to 6 Blade Guard, because I feel like 6 Blade Guard maybe can live for a turn or 2, but I probably don't attach a character to 3 Blade Guard, because I feel like 3 Blade Guard go in, they maybe kill something, and then there's not enough wounds there, so they just die, right? Bloodless Angels is gone. Oh, I know Bloodless Angels is gone. I'm not really upset Bloodless Angels is gone. I'm upset that the 2 detachments in the Codex are, another 3 months of no changes. I suppose it's better now that we have the Grotmus detachment, but in the last Balanced Data Slate, when we looked 3 months ago, if you wanted to play Blood Angels, you literally had 1 detachment, Liberator Assault Group, because Angelic Host was not good, still is not good, and Lost Brethren was not good, / still is not still not good, right? John, current feelings on Jump Death Company with one of our chaplains. So I've used them multiple times, Ollie. I don't like any of the combinations of them right now. I think that the loss of the rerolling of all the Infernal Pistols and the loss of all the Power Fists has hurt them a lot more than their points drop reflected. I think they got a 10-point drop in points, because I think they were 140, but everybody had a Power Fist, everybody had an Infernal Pistol. They dropped to 130, but they lost like 4 Infernal Pistols and 3 Power Fists, and they reroll hits on the pistols. And they just feel like, I don't really know how you use them, Ollie. I think if you're going to run small units of Jump Marines, you should run Sanguinary Guard, and you should run Jump Pack Assault Intercessors. I mean, I suppose that's the beauty with the Death Company is if you've got some painted as Death Company, you can just say to your opponent, "Those guys in black are Jump Pack Assault Intercessors," and I would just use them. I don't think that they are 40 points better than Jump Pack Assault Intercessors, right? Like, they get some reroll hits, they get one Eviscerator, they lose their OC, they don't do mortal wounds. Like, it's just not good enough for 40 points. Next up, what did people say for the Annihilator? So people are not going to be using the Annihilator for 135 points. What about the Destructor? The Destructor went up 10 points. I think it's sat at 130 points for a long time, has it? We just saw like a tournament where someone took first place with 3 Predator Destructors. What are we thinking about the Destructor at 140 points? Yes or no? Jump Pack Death Company could become usable. Yeah, I mean, I think Jump Pack Death Company are definitely better than Death Company on foot, I feel, because at least their rolls kick in all the time, and they get more power fists, I think. Yeah, I think they get like 1 more power fist than the guys on foot per 5. Yeah, I mean, if I had to take Death Company, I would take the Jump Pack guys. If I absolutely had to take them, I think I would take Lamartis plus the 10. But I'm not really a fan. Okay, Predator Destructor at 140 points. We still have people liking the Destructor. I think it's okay at 140. Once we get to like 50 votes, we'll move on. So 58% of people like the Predator Destructor at 140. Did we cover the Lieutenant Phobos yet? No, we haven't. We've started on points, and that's where we are. Next up is the Vindicator tank, and my opinion of the Vindicator tank is, I think it got off lightly because I think it has been so popular. So I think for me, Vindicator tanks at 185 points changes nothing. I have, for the first time ever, I think last weekend I played 2 Vindicator tanks. I think this week I will continue to play 2 Vindicator tanks, and I will find somewhere else to get 20 points out my list. I'd probably rather have a Ballistus than an Annihilator still, but the Destructor does amazing work into heavy infantry, so I'm more into that, says Brian. Yeah, I mean, that's the advantage of the Destructor. The 3 damage autocannon with 2 AP into heavy infantry is very, very useful against Terminators and that sort of enemy, right? And I guess that's why you take them. And I think at 140 points, it's probably okay. I mean, I think probably what I would have rather they done is like fix the like, it's all like, this is a targeted nerf, which is fine, but like we've got 2, like a lot of people bought Gladiator tanks. Could they maybe have just been made less points rather than nerf the Destructor? I don't know. Target nerfs are what it is. Like, I think the Vindicator is justified for a targeted nerf, but at 185 points, like I said, I think it got off lightly. I think chat agrees that it got off somewhat lightly. 66% of people still agree that we will use the Vindicator at 185 points. US Nobody says people will still double up on them. Alex says, yeah, you'll still take 2 of them. Never leave home without 1 Vindicator. There we go. So Vindicator is still the top dog. The Whirlwind is a strange one to me. I do not know why the Whirlwind is so damn expensive at 190 points. I'm going to look at his data sheet, and we'll talk about the data sheet for 2 seconds before we start the vote, because I think it's crap. Whirlwind. So it's got indirect fire on 72-inch. Strength 8 minus 2/2, but remember, indirect fire can only ever hit on 4s. So if you shoot a 5-man squad, statistically you get, what, like 7 shots hitting on 4s, wounding on 2s. They probably get cover as well. So your opponent needs to take like 2 -1 saves. So he fails one of them because, like, you know. So it kills 1 Space Marine a turn. Indirect. Why, oh why? And then they have to take a battle shot test. Cool. Why is this 190 points? I think in the Space Marine Codex this was like... when it first came out in the Codex Space Marine, I think it was like 130 points, right? Why, oh why is it 190 points? Which detachment... Some detachment is abusing it. Who's abusing it and what are they doing with it? Whirlwinds are good with Guilliman's double oath and the +1 to wound. Is that what it is? The +1 to wound from double oath. 3 whirlwinds can delete your home field objective unit. Yeah, but you're spending 600 points to kill an 80-point unit of Marines. That, I feel like that's probably okay, right? Hey, someone giving me some bits. 5 subs, viewers. Thank you so much, dude. I do appreciate that. I don't know where that pops up. What does it say? Very kind of you, Nasser. Thank you very, very much. We pay for the sins of the Ultramarines. Triple Whirlwind with Guilliman. Okay. Alright, well, if Marius rears his ugly head in chat again tonight, because Marius is the biggest Ultramarine fan that watches the channel, we will tell him... People are saying yes to the Whirlwind for 190 points? Come on. It's just Ultramarines, right? Think about it as Blood Angels. Are you spending 190 points on a Whirlwind? Because I can't see it. Okay. Fire Discipline went back down in points. So much abuse. I'm sorry, Marius. You and your chapter are getting our damn Whirlwind nerfed. I swear to you, in the Codex Space Marines, I'm gonna go get it. This is your book, right, Marius? Codex Space Marines? The Codex Astartes? Whirlwinds. 115 points. You got our Whirlwind nerfed 75 points. How friggin' dare you? Nobody uses them ever. I guess Ultramarines might use 3 of them with Guilliman in the New Oath of Moment. There's no way to hide from the Whirlwind abuse. Okay. Fair enough. Ultramarines making Whirlwinds very, very good. I did not know that. Fire Discipline in the Gladius Task Force. It got FAQ'd last data slate. It was too expensive. It was expensive when it was good. I don't think it's very good anymore. We can talk about that when we get to it. And Fusillade. I believe Fusillade from the Librarius one is the ability to get sustained devastating wounds on 5s and 6s. Is that right? Yes. So you can get anti-vehicle, anti-monster 5-up with sustained 1. What have they done to it? It was 35 points. Oh, they probably fixed it over there, right? I think it was 15 points. They've made it 35 points. Yeah, I mean, the play behind Fusillade was like 10 Stern Guard. And the Stern Guard would basically be getting sustained an anti-monster and anti-vehicle 5-up, rerolling all hits, rerolling all wounds. I think statistically it was like... I think statistically it would one-shot a Land Raider 100% of the time or something like that, right? GW really underestimated Indirect at the start of 10th edition. Remember the parking lot guard list? Yeah, I do remember playing a list where, like, there were so, like, the Imperial Guard player had like 9 indirect things, and that was before he used to get nerfed with the now, you know, the you can't hit on 4-ups. Okay, so that's the points changes. Meaningful changes for Blood Angels are, like, I guess the Blade Guard is the big positive change, right? That's it, I think. Blade Guard are potentially better. I don't know how many Blood Angels players are actually using Blade Guard vets, though. I feel like quite a small percentage. Yeah, let me ask. So Blade Guard, a lot of people liked. We did do a poll about, like, a lot of people did like the new Blade Guard points. What about, like, were you using Blade Guard before, or are you going to be using them now? Were you using Blade Guard before this? Yes or no? Like, how many people were actually using Blade Guard before? Because I think, what was the numbers on Blade Guard? I think that was the big meaningful one, right? Let me go double check. So for Blade Guard, it was 90% of people thought that they're now good at 80% or 80 points. Huh, a lot of people. Oh, so it's similar. So about 80% of people were using, 75% were using before, but 90% of people think Blade Guard are good now. This data slate update for Blood Angels was a 2 out of 10, says Eternal Crusader. I guess it just doesn't address any of the real problems that we have, right? And I guess it removes the way of playing the Bloodless Angels, which I guess was probably never intended. We're going to go into the data slate in just a second. Campbell said, hey Campbell, how you doing? I thought Reavers were the core of your army, not Blade Guard. Kevin says, I like Blade Guard with the Judiciar in an Impulsor. Maybe not the greatest use of points, but I like it. How many Blade Guard do you use, Kevin? You use all 6 or just 3? Curatio says he likes to use Blade Guard and 5 Terminators. Jamarta says, I've run Blade Guard the last 10 games. They're good, but I don't think I'm playing them properly. Too often my opponent doesn't go near them or they get shot off the board. Impulsor, I think, is your friend if you're playing Blade Guard. Blade Guard look cool, so they'll play them. I run 2 Blade Guard squads with an Impulsor, led by a Chappie and a Judiciar, says Dan Morgan. Okay. GW doesn't know how to fix Blood Angels, says low 2x2. Well, I think the noise from Bloodless Angels wasn't helping, right? Because I think the noise from Bloodless Angels basically created so much noise that they removed Bloodless Angels and they didn't touch our codex again. Like, we've had this codex for 6 months. I haven't played Angelic Host or the Lost Brethren. I feel like I have no intention to do that right now. Like, I'm very much a weekend warrior. I go to one tournament every 3 or 6 months. I play 1 game a week. I try and do well, but I am starting to admit that I'm not super serious and I'm more of a weekend warrior. And when I only have 1 game a week, I'm not going to spend it playing a terrible detachment because I have 1 game a week and I want to be ready for the next tournament when it eventually comes, right? Blade Guard veterans are so slow, they cost the same as assault intercessors now, says Stuart. Yeah, they're a different unit. They need less support, I guess. That's the cool thing about them. And I guess the other cool thing I think about Blade Guard is in the Angelic Inheritors detachment, if they're not led by a character, they're still pretty punchy, right? Because they get those rerolls 1s to hit. and they're strength 5, which is a meaningful breakpoint for killing infantry. And if you're using Blade Guard, like, the thing that Blade Guard will kill the best is enemy infantry, probably. 3 Blade Guard will indeed smash 5 Assault Intercessors. Yeah, they'll wipe them. They will just wipe them. They'll wipe them pretty much most of the time without any buffs. Okay, so, interesting. So, there might be a bit of a swing towards Blade Guard, but nothing else massively changes. Ballistic Dreadnoughts will probably still see some. Vindicator tanks, we will definitely still see some. Predator Destructions will probably still see some. Company Heroes we're probably still going to see. And then in the Blood Angel stuff, we're probably still not going to see any of the... Out with the Death Company Marines with jump packs, I don't think anything changes. We probably still will see very few people try and make those Death Company things work. What do you think of a repulsor as a transport? At 180 points, which I think it costs these days, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, the repulsor's fine. I mean, I guess you've got to make good use of the transport capacity, because for 180 points, what's it giving you? Like a twin-link las cannon and like 2 strength 10 las Talon type shots, right? Like, how do we feel about the new and better Death Company Marines? Well, we did some polls at the start of the stream, and oh, the chat doesn't let me scroll that far back. I did take a screenshot of one of the polls, though. So the screenshot that I managed to take was Death Company Marines with bolt rifles. Are you using them? This is supposed to say are. Are we using Death Company Marines with bolt rifles? 56 people watching the stream said no. And no people watching said yes. They are the worst of the 3, but the numbers on the other 2 were not much better. Yeah. Okay. So, Blood Angels in the actual data slate obviously had no changes. Space Marines. I must admit I haven't really looked at the Space Marine stuff. I did see that Oath of Moment now... Is this right? So this has been added. If you're using a Codex Space Marine detachment, you can now get the +1 to Oath. Otherwise, that is gone. So, you would have to go and play like Gladius Task Force. I guess you could play Bloodless Angels in Gladius Task Force. I guess it's probably just not as strong because you don't get all the +2 attacks, or so the +2 strength and the +1 attacks. I know it's not your thing, but Rip Bridgehead gone too soon. Do you know what? I played Bridgehead at a tournament, Curatio, and it was a disgusting game, and I will be very happy if it took some sort of nerf. So Fire Discipline obviously got changed last time round, so we'll just focus on changes this time round. Stormlance, 1 infantry mounted from your army. This is with the 9 of a unit. I don't know if, like, Space Wolves maybe play Stormlance, but I don't really see Blood Angels ever play Stormlance, so this is probably kind of meaningless. The Lieutenant and Phobos has had his rule changed. If you do make the move after he is shot, you're no longer able to declare a charge, which is a little bit sad because that was the thing that people were doing with Reavers, which I think was pretty cool. So the Lieutenant with Phobos and his Reaver shenanigans is not reliable anymore. I feel like that was gone too soon. I used it one time, I thought it was okay. I never actually had anyone use it against me. I never really see too many people using it. And what else we got? So this was the Uriel Ventress nerf. People mentioned that he can no longer do the shenanigans with the Centurions. So there isn't very much that affects Blood Angels, except the nerf to Bloodless Angels, right? USD nobody says that's why you played Reavers. Yeah, so the one game I had played with Reavers and they were fun and they got to do their 3d6 charge sort of shenanigans, I guess, is gone. Blood Angels do not need the shitty oath, says Dr. Akushla. Hello, Dr. Akushla. Nice to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so this is sort of echoes the thumbnail. There is no change here that is meaningful in any way, shape, or form for Blood Angels, right? So I would say in like the overall scope of playing Blood Angels over the last like 3-6 months, or since our codexes came out, I suppose, is like Outriders are a little bit better. You can use Outriders. I think they're potentially decent now. That they weren't before, but I mean that was done the last balance day of Slate. Multiple small units of Sangreguard is possibly one of the best things that we can still run. Multiple small units seems to work better on Angelic Inheritors. If you want to run big blobs of Sangreguard, that might be more Liberator Assault Group. And then all the shooting that we were using to back up our armies has got more expensive, right? Like I would think that the most common things that people were using were Predator Destructors, up 10 points, Vindicator Tanks, up 10 points, Ballistus Dreadnoughts, up 10 points. The Lancers had kind of fallen out of the meta a little bit, just because of the popularity of because of Vindicator Tanks. So I guess like Lancers they were popular. Maybe they are a little bit popular again. Maybe they'll become a little bit more popular with the nerfs to the other things. Hey Connor, nice to see you. But overall, we're just a slightly worse version of what we were before Bloodless, says Kevin. Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to sum it up, I think, Kevin. Liberator Assault Group is still good. The shooting got a little bit worse. Or a little bit more expensive. Angelic Inheritors is still good. The shooting that detachment definitely needs because of the +2 strength got a little bit more expensive, so that detachment will be a little bit harder to build for. And then like there's no real other meaningful change, I guess. The faction is still Sangreguard or bust, it seems, says W. And yeah, I mean, I guess that's how we're feeling, right? Like, it's like, it is literally all carried on the back of the Sangreguard and or jump assault intercessors. That feels like it hasn't changed. I like it when it changes a little bit every 3 months, but hello Ryan, nice to see you. Between the Vindicator nerf and the Rage-Fueled Warrior nerf, it was an overall loss, says Quaydog. Yeah. I think the trick is going to be... It's very much more of the same. I'm just trying to work out in my head if there's a way to get some Blade Guard into Angelic Inheritors better. Because I guess if there is a way to get some Blade Guard into that... Like, the one thing that I've seen, at least from playing Angelic Inheritors now, but then maybe part of the reason that... Like, the Sangreguard with -1 to wound and -1 to hit is very, very powerful. So maybe that carries that unit a little bit. Like, it is a lot more expensive, but it is potentially better. But yeah, maybe there's some sort of play where it's like 3 small units of Blade Guard, like 3 Blade Guard can tangle. They can just kill MSU stuff pretty reliably. In general, if you're running Blade Guard, your lists didn't change. Oh, that's very true. Yeah, if you're running a couple of tanks and now you're running a couple of squads of Blade Guard, then nothing changes. You're not up. You're not down. My tournament list in January actually had 6 Blade Guard in it. So I guess if I went back to that tournament list with Blade Guard, can a captain go with Blade Guard? Yeah, yeah. I think the captain has to have a specific loadout if he goes with the Blade Guard. Like I think he has to have the sword and shield as well or something. But yeah, you can go with the Blade Guard. Overall, Space Marine firing lines got nerfed. Something every Space Marine army needs. Yeah, so I guess we'll see how that pans out. I still think it's funny that 100% of people watching thought Death Company Marines with bolt rifles were bad. I really... 6 Blade Guard in a chaplain... 6 Blade Guard in an Impulsor with a chaplain or Judisaur. I mean, both's good. Both is good. +1 to wound on Blade Guard from the chaplain is good. Fight first on the Blade Guard is good. I mean, you can even get both if you put the enhancement on the chaplain as well, right? The Blood Angels captain can't lead Blade Guard. Yes, correct. You need to have a specific loadout on your captain to lead Blade Guard. I forget exactly what that is. Do you know what? I've got the codex right here. I will tell you real quick. This model cannot be attached to Blade Guard Veteran unless it is equipped with a Relic Shield. So it just needs to have a Relic Shield. That's it. That's the only requirement. So, to do that, this model's bolter, mastercrafted... Sorry, this model's bolt pistol, mastercrafted bolter, and close combat weapon can be replaced with a heavy bolt pistol, a mastercrafted power weapon, and a Relic Shield. So you basically have... a heavy bolt pistol, which is like strength 4 minus 1 damage, and then you have the mastercrafted power blade, which is 6 attacks, strength 5 minus 2, and then the Relic Shield makes your captain have 6 wounds. It's the one from the 9th edition box. Thank you very much. Stalin says, I don't want to buy more Blade Guard. I have 6, but buying 3 at a time is rough. Yeah, I have 9 or 10 of them. Wag, the Orc Daka detachment is the Squigs Fugnuts. I guess you've got a new detachment, Brett. Good evening, how are you? Cool. Alright, I need to go and edit my video for Friday because I filmed the whole bit that... Yeah, I filmed the whole bit last night. Of course I did. That was talking about auto-includes for Angelic Inheritors. And of course, they've gone and changed the points costs on me today. I mean, I kind of knew that they were potentially going to change some points costs this week, but I filmed stuff last night anyway. So I need to go and film and edit for my Friday Tactics video, guys. So thank you so much for watching tonight. Leave me a comment down below on what you were most excited about with the changes, or the thing that you are most going to include, or something like that. Leave a comment because it helps with the algorithm. Make Blood Angels faction Red Thirst. Is that not just Liberator Assault Group? I'm pretty sure that's the name of the rule for Liberator Assault Group, is the Red Thirst, right? Anyway, right, have a great evening. Thank you very much for watching. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the likes. I do appreciate it. I'm going to still make this Angelic Inheritors video for Friday, so I'm going to jump into that. I'll see you guys for the Tactics video on Friday. Just damn Blade Guard, I guess. Yeah, I might even try and fit some Blade Guard into my next Angelic Inheritors list. I'll probably try and get a game next week with the new points then, next Wednesday. I didn't play tonight because kind of thought this might come out, but also just because, like I said, my daughter had surgery on Saturday morning, so that was a bit of a... Sunday morning, sorry. It was a bit of a nightmare this week, so cool. I will see you guys on Friday. Leave me a comment about your best lists, and we'll see you then. Good night. Have an evening. Bye-bye. I was muted, of course. I was going to say I just looked at the chat right before I end the stream, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. And Dracker has said, I'm most excited about the next balance data slate. And on that bombshell, I will say goodnight. Have a great evening. See you later.